Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, welcome back to our sessions for the subject Organization Behavior. Today, inshallah, we're going to take the following topic, which is about the workplace values, ethics, and emotions. During this session, inshallah, we will try to cover the following objectives: define values and attitudes in the workplace, discuss the rational process, analyze influences on ethical conduct. We will also explain the model of attitudes and behavior, which is actually the cluster of the all points discussed above, and define the various dimensions of emotional intelligence, and we will inshallah end up with the employee customer profit chain. According to these objectives, we have the following content. So here, as you can notice, the first one is about the workplace values and attitudes. The rational process affecting one's behavior according to the values adopted by the company, the ethical conduct, model of attitudes and behavior. We will also talk about the emotional labor that the organization would like to create in its boundary, and the job satisfaction, and the last point will be about the employee customer profit chain. So inshallah, as we start talking about values and ethics, we will figure out that this is another important factors that can help determine the main reason why people actually act in a given way. So here's an example. We can introduce this topic using this kind of company. The warehouse in New Zealand is actually one of the world's top discount retailers in the world, simply because of one main value here. So its social responsibility practices and people first value is actually the main driver that the company would like to use in acting, operating, and serving customers. And because of such kind of values, the company added a lot of issues in terms of operations, in terms of practices, policies, regulations internally that can help the company achieve the position it is on nowadays. Here, as we define value is actually a stable, long-lasting beliefs about what's important. Now the point here is that value is derived from the word important, or we can say that value is whatsoever a person may consider as important. And basically, this can be something related to our tradition, customs, religious beliefs, or sometimes personal interest. So that is why value is of different categories. Then value can define right or wrong, good or bad. So talking about traditional values or the Islamic values in terms of dealing or Islamic teachings, we have a lot of issues that consider what should be done and what shouldn't be done. So these became like value that go up with us. So value include cross-cultural, ethical, and also organizational culture values. So this point explains that value is not something that you can just take from one place. It's something that is embedded within the culture itself, and it is something sometimes can be affiliating with a specific group of people in a given country. And value, والجزئية اللي تهمنا بشكل كبير, is actually the kind of beliefs that the company or the organization would like to create and embed within its own culture so that it can affect its own employees. So here, emotions and attitudes, which are all clusters that affect people's attitudes here, we have two keywords, emotions and attitudes. Now, these are important issues we need to understand so that we can understand how values are actually created and then how such values affect our behaviors. So this comes like a process. So the first one, we have emotions. Emotions are actually the feelings towards an object or towards a person, or sometimes toward an event, which creates a state of readiness. Example of emotions can be anger, fear, joy, love, sadness, and surprise. So these kind of emotions can be actually toward a lot of issues. So when we talk about objects, we may talk about products, services, cars, whatsoever around us. Talking about person, we may talk about your direct supervisor, your friend, your father, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc. Now, events in our life can be either national, can be personal, can be organizational, etc. So companies actually pay attention to emotions because it somehow creates the state of readiness, which is person may act upon the way he feels towards such things. Then we have the attitudes, التوجهات. So it's a cluster of beliefs, assess feelings, and behavior intention toward an object. We will go through this one more intensively because this actually adds or affects behavior dramatically. So here, attitudes لتوجهات الفرد سلوكه نحو جهة معينة أو شخص أو اعتقاد قد يكون نتاج الثلاث الخطوات التالية أو المكونات التالية بالإضافة إلى intention. The first one is about belief. Okay, so this is established perception about something that has got something to do with you doing something in the past. So for example, if you go to a restaurant and have a meal there and then you found something strange or the food wasn't as expected, so you will form this kind of belief that this restaurant is not really good. So next time, this kind of belief will affect your intention to act or to go to that restaurant. So here, example, merger results in layoffs. Merger is two companies merging to come up with one business entity. So example of this can be like Sony and Ericsson. So when they merged, they make up the company that is so-called now Sony Ericsson. هنا الاندماج كمثال is an example of how people look at these things. This is an example of an event. هذا طبعا عبارة عن حدث. فتوجهات الأفراد تكون بناء على اعتقاداتهم بسبب أحداث سابقة حدثت لهم أو سمعوها من أفراد آخرين فأثرت على توجهاتهم. So here, merger results in layoffs. طبعا البعض يعتقد أن الاندماج مع شركات أخرى يسبب الاستغناء عن بعض الموظفين. قد يكون هذا صحيح وقد لا يكون صحيح بناء على خبرات سابقة لبعض الموظفين. So here, merger ensures the survival of the business in the globalization era. Now, this is another point of view which can be held by another person. يعني قد يكون هناك فرصة للتطوير والتأهيل والاندماج وولوج أسواق جديدة واستمرارية المشروع بناء على تطور الأعمال التجارية في الوضع الحالي. فنقطتين مختلفتين بناء على آراء سابقة تجارب سابقة تسبب التغيير في اتجاهات الأفراد نحو هذا الحدث which is merger. Now feelings, this represents your negative or positive evaluation of the attitude object. If you consider the following example, the previous example اللي هو الاندماج هيكون في معانا نوع من المشاعر. الأول is negative سلبي بسبب التجربة السابقة. الآخر هو positive evaluation تقييم إيجابي حول هذه الجزئية. فبالتالي يتكون اتجاهين مختلفين. ما يهمنا هو ما يأتي بعد هذه التوجهات وهي النية لسلوك معين. So here, merger is good. This is positive evaluation. Merger is bad. Now this may result in the following. وهذا قد يؤثر على النقطة الثالثة وهي الأكثر أهمية. Your behavior, what you intend to do. So we call this one behavior intention. So this actually represents your motivation to either engage in a particular behavior or sometimes you let go أو تسيب هذا الشركة إذا حدث الاندماج. So here's an example. You might plan to quit if this merger happens. هذا اللي يحمل negative evaluation. Or you might plan to email the executive saying that this merger is really good. وهذا الانطباع الجيد. فبالتالي هذا سلوك وهذا سلوك آخر كلاهما تأثر بالتوجهات أو اتجاهات الأفراد. The point here, these attitudes, the result or the behavior intention may not necessarily be right all the time. يعني قد يكون هذا السلوك غير صحيح بناء على التوجه اللي يبني بشكل خاطئ. نفس الكلام الجزئية الثانية. That's why the attitudes actually is one of the elements that can help the company predict how employees actually act according to given situations, events, or even with new objects. Now the rational process, now we will talk about what usually happens in reality considering our attitudes. Here's a good example. The expectancy value model. This is a very important issue that usually managers can consider when they come up with a new decision policy based on their understanding of their employees' attitudes. Look here. This is determined by the person's beliefs about the attitude object, like merger or new managers, producing specific outcome as well as by the value of those outcomes, either good or bad. Example, you think it's disruptive, not good. So results in layoff, negative feeling, even if it has some other positive outcomes. Now, if you have such kind of negative attitudes because you believe it results in layoffs, this will create your own feeling. Okay? So the next step, the feeling influences your behavior intention and accordingly your action. So that's why we call it the rational process. We systematically think about the object according to our own experience, which may be either right or wrong according to the person himself. And that will affect our own feelings and eventually our behavior. So expectancy value model can also have some kind of expectations and can also have some kind of differences here. So look here, it's good to mention that people with the same feeling forms different kinds of behavior intentions, and that is actually based on their past experience. So maybe within the one department, the one section within the organization, or even within the same major, employees may also form different intentions. This is basically because of their own past experiences, which to a great extent will affect their own attitudes. Moreover, here, behavior intention helps better in predicting human behaviors as it represents the motivation to act. So the point here, once a manager understands how attitudes were formed, he can easily predict the actions or how they may really act upon. Here, talking about attitudes, we may also refer to the ethical principles. Of course, في معنا ثلاثة مبادئ أساسية للأخلاق. So the first one is known as utilitarianism, أو المنفعة العامة. So by this, we try to come up with the greatest good for the greatest number of employees. إذا كان قرار ينفع فقط أو ذو فائدة للإدارة، إدارة معينة، وقد تكون العوائد الناتجة عن فقط محصول في هذه الإدارة، فهذا المبدأ الأخلاقي لا يتحقق. فيكون الهدف ذو منفعة عامة للمنظمة ككل بما فيهم الموظفين. So this is one of the ethical principles. فهذه الأخلاقيات قد تؤثر على سلوكيات الأفراد فيما يتعلق بالتوجهات نحو قرار جديد أو مثلا مدير جديد، لوائح جديدة إلى آخره. So we also have another types of moral issue, which is the individual rights. So this is a fundamental entitlement in society, which can be of two parts. Okay, اللي حقوق الأفراد قد تكون مبنية على الجانب السلوكي الأخلاقي. Okay, more about ethical، أو متعلقة بالentitlement position. For example, it's my right as a lecturer to postpone the midterm exam. Now this is an example of entitlement that is based on my position. However, it's not my right to postpone the final exam. This is someone's right, maybe the deanship, العمادة. So the third one is about the disruptive justice, العدالة التوزيعية. Now this is talking about both positive and negative issues. So there must be equal distribution of proportions of whatsoever we consider it, like for example, benefits, allowances, wages, opportunities to expand, training programs, etc. Even when it comes to punishment، حتى في مسألة العقوبات يكون فيها العدالة التوزيعية بناء على المعايير بحيث تكون على جميع الموظفين. So that's why we say inequality must have equal access. Inequality must also benefit the least well off. Now, influences on ethical conduct. في طبعا معنا معايير تحدد أهمية السلوك الأخلاقي. يعني على سبيل المثال the moral intensity. Here, this is the degree that issue demands ethical principles. For example, if it's just about passing or coming with a decision, تجاوزات في اتخاذ قرار بناء على مثلا مساعدة لموظف معين، فيتم التجاوز بحكم الموقف. لكن لما نتكلم عن مثلا رشوة، هنا الموضوع يكون آخر. So the intensity of the issue here is way more than the first example. This also goes for the ethical sensitivity, which is the same, but here the issue itself is quite sensitive, that requires the ethical conduct. So the ability to recognize the presence of and determine the relative importance of an ethical issue. هذه طبعا يدخل فيها مثلا توزيع على سبيل المثال المستحقات أو إعطاء الفرص في الترقيات. فهذه الجزئية تستلزم المعايير الأخلاقية بشكل كبير التي قد تكون مدرجة من ضمن المعايير الخاصة بالمنظمة. We have also the situational influences, competitive pressures and other conditions affect ethical behavior. For example, بسبب الوضع الحالي قد تستخدم الشركة تكنولوجيا معينة، وهذه التكنولوجيا قد تستبدل كثير من الموظفين. هنا التأثيرات مبنية على المواقف technology versus staff. This is actually one of the most controversial topics in nowadays business, talking about ethics. Now we go to emotions as one components within the cluster of the intentions or behavior intention. Emotions, الأحاسيس, these are about feelings experienced toward an object, person, or event, again, that create a state of fitness. Here we have examples of emotions, as we said before, like sadness, etc. Emotions demand attention and interrupt our train of thoughts. So emotions can be either directed towards something, or sometimes can also be controlled. Look here. These are examples of emotions: anger, fear, joy, love, sadness. These kind of emotions may really affect the way we think about this object, person, or event. Accordingly, here we have the model of attitudes and behavior. Now, this kind of cluster is actually very important because we have beliefs, we have the feelings, we have the behavioral intention. These all represent what we mean by attitudes. Okay? Now, this is the emotional episodes. If you believe that merger is bad, لو اعتقدت انه الاندماج بين الشركتين سيء على اعتبار انه الخوف من التغيير او ساخسر وظيفتي او ستقل الحوافز او الاداره الجديده or whatsoever based on what you think. Okay? And what you think is actually can be based on your past experience. او بعض الاحيان قد يكون بسبب اشياء قرأت عنها او سمعتها. فبالتالي these kind of beliefs can be formed. This belief will lead your feelings. Now, merger is bad. If you have such kind of feeling, you will have behavior intention. If merger takes place, لو حدث الاندماج أنا على طول أسيب الشركة. So this will lead to your own behavior. So actually this systematic process of understanding how people think according to attitudes can help manager predict ساعد المدراء على التنبؤ بسلوكيات هؤلاء الأفراد. So that's why this is quite important. Now, emotional labor. Now, when we talk about labor, of course, we talk about employees in the boundaries or within the boundaries of the company. So we have a lot of kind of emotions, but organization would like to have only the types of emotions that can somehow help achieve the job. Remember the example we cited at the beginning of this session. So here, the effort, planning, control needed to express organizationally desired emotions. So when we talk about customer, what kind of emotions we would like to get, for example, to serve those customers. So maybe we would like to control some kind of emotions so as to have the work carry on. So these desired emotions during the interpersonal transactions, which can also be business transaction. So emotional labor issues, there are some kind of issues here. لكن لما نتكلم عن أحاسيس الأفراد في المنظمة هناك بعض الإشكاليات اللي قد تحدث. يعني بالأخير من الصعب جدا على الإدارة العليا أو المدير المباشر التحكم وإدارة هذه المشاعر بناء على معطيات معينة. على سبيل المثال the true emotions may really leak out. So maybe the employee is compelled to smile at the customer, but the customer is quite tough. So maybe some kind of emotions may really leak out. تتسرب بعض المشاعر بناء على موقف، فهنا يكون في تصادم بين المشاعر أو الأحاسيس التي يتوجب على الموظف أن يتحلى بها أثناء عملية التواصل مع العملاء، وبين المشاعر والأحاسيس الحقيقية الناتجة عن تلك التعاملات. So especially with low emotional adaptability. لما نتكلم عن شخصية الأفراد، الأفراد اللي ليس لديهم القدرة على التكيف مع المواقف، بالتالي قد يواجهوا هذه المشكلة. أيضا emotional dissonance causes stress. Disagreement in emotion is always a problem. Display norms vary across culture. That is another issue. العادات أيضا تختلف بناء على الثقافات، وبالتالي emotions can also be different. Now, emotional intelligence dimension. Look here, when we talk about dimension, we should consider the following points. That is called the emotional intelligence, الذكاء العاطفي. So in terms of you being aware of your own self. So how you control your own anger, for example, is about self-awareness. I may not really be in a good state if I deal with so and so, for example. So by this you can help, this can help you actually regulate your own emotions. Doing so can motivate yourself to act accordingly in a better way. Okay. Sometimes you also need to look at the others' emotions. This is called empathy. If you understand why people look, or sometimes why people act in a given way, why they feel in a certain way, you can actually express empathy. This can help you actually deal with these situations. And finally, the social skills can also help you a lot in communicating your point of view and adapting emotions that can help achieve your goals. Now the job satisfaction and behavior. Job satisfaction reduces, of course, the turnover, absenteeism, and surprisingly, theft. الرضا الوظيفي جزئية أساسية في سلوك الأفراد، وهي تعتبر من السلوكيات التي قد تكون نتاج مشاعر معينة تجاه العمل أو الإدارة أو أسلوب القيادة. So that's why we talk about job satisfaction whenever we discuss things about the attitudes. So here, the weak association with job performance because the following issue here. The general attitude is actually a poor predictor of specific behaviors. تكوين توجه أو رؤية عامة حول موضوع معين، شخص معين، قرار جديد، ليس بالضرورة أن يكون معيار للتنبؤ بسلوكيات الأفراد بشكل عام. Here we can use motivation. في وسائل أخرى قد تغير من توجهات الأفراد مثل ما إن شاء الله سنأخذها في المحاضرة القادمة. So that is one main issue here. Performance affects satisfaction through rewards. أيضا في كثير من الشركات تستخدم أسلوب الدافعية والتحفيز للتغلب على إشكاليات الأفراد المتعلقة ب their own attitudes, which is a good strategy actually. So here, this is an example of a company. The owner here, Roger Green, has taken all his employees, 130 employees, on a 4-day cruise in Bahama. So here, he believes that keeping employees happy will keep customers happy. Now, this is an example of value that the manager or the executive or even the owner would like to convey to his own employees. Now, this value, if prevails, can help him achieve his own objectives. And there is always this kind of saying that is satisfied employees will lead to satisfied customers. And basically, this can be the other way. Dissatisfied employees will also lead to dissatisfied customers. Now, The last point here, or let us say step by step, is the employee customer profit chain. Now, talking about businesses, most important issue for any profitable organization is the profitability, beside the other goals they may really set. So that's why we will discuss employee customer profit chain in terms of attitudes. So here we have the organization practices. If these practices have been made in a way that can help employees be satisfied, then the expected result is less turnover, انسحاب قليل من الشركة أو الدوران الوظيفي يكون أقل, consistent services, better quality, better service. This will dramatically lead to customers' perceived value. Now, customer will start perceiving the high quality, the adaptability of the workers, okay, the level of service, etc., leading them to buy and buy, okay, from that or deal again and again with this kind of organization. So this leads to satisfied customers and customer referrals. Satisfied customers here, of course, lead to the profitability in terms of the monetary issues. But we also have another one, which is customer referrals. Our customers now will become our own promoters. ما يكون العميل السعيد هو أداة الترويج المناسبة للشركة, which according to a lot of researchers affect the other customers more. Psychologically, this overweigh actually the promotions of the companies. Now, this will definitely lead to higher revenue growth and profits. So that's why what we mean by employee customer and profit chain. This wouldn't happen without understanding how our employees, okay, feel about these kind of practices. Practices can be the internal regulations, the policies, the leadership style, etc. Now, when we talk about profitability, we need to talk about commitment, الالتزام المنظمي. So here, effective commitment, this is about the emotional, at the first place, emotional attachment to, identification with, and of course the involvement in an organization. So by this, people are actually committed to the organization emotionally and in terms of personality and in terms of actions. So this is the ultimate type of commitment. The continuous commitment, believe that staying with the organization serves your personal interest. طبعا, this is quite hard to reach unless the employees are fully satisfied. So building the organization commitment can be through many strategies. الالتزام المنظمين إن شاء الله سنأخذ في مواضيع أخرى متعلقة بعمليات التحفيز, جزئية متعلقة بهذا الجانب. So here, maintain fairness and satisfaction. This is the first issue. Considering this, customers, employees will be happy. Provide some job security. It's a long-term kind of security. That's why we will discuss Maslow's pyramid of hierarchies. لما نناقش نظرية ماسلو للتحفيز هناخذ هذه الجزئية. Support the organizational comprehension. Involve employees in decision. Once the employee is involved in the decision, he will actually be more committed to act. And then building trust. So by this, dear students, we really come to the end of the session. We would like to recap our thoughts. We defined and differentiated the values and attitudes. We said that values are actually long-lasting beliefs, while attitudes, on the other hand, is about what you build on based on your past experiences. Then we talked about the rational process and the resultant behavior intention. We also discussed the influences on ethical conduct. We explained the model of attitudes and behavior. And then we provided examples on the several dimensions of emotional intelligence, which is basically more about understanding yourself, the others, adapting, and communicating. And we discussed the employee customer profit chain. So by this we come to the end. You have one attachment. يكون في معكم مرفق تبع هذه الحلقة. تجيب عن الأسئلة الموجودة فيها بناء على التعليمات الموجودة في الموقع. So by this we come to the end. Thank you very much for listening and inshallah see you next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.